No.
And protect the vulnerable person by means of bill to impose that you do not attend any events involved with Palestine, okay? The reasons why we did this is on the 17th of the 10th of 2023, on Bethel Green Road at 10:04, you were witnesses saying, obviously, people, while they're over here, etc., we let them into our country, etc.
So, big deal.
Yeah, okay.
So, big deal.
On the television.
Saying it. Take him. Disgusting. He's a disgusting. Absolute. I'm a stage 4 cancer patient and I never care. Make a scene of shoes. The shoes make the scene. You're arresting him because he said something in the street. But Hamas, a terrorist organisation.
You haven't been round the block. You don't know what you're talking about. John,
let's have it very, very clear. We have the freedom of speech. If we want to be against Palestine, we will do. If that's a problem, that's your problem.
And you want to come at this time of night? And you give people a fright all because you a comment about Palestine? It's absolutely disgusting what's going on in this country. It was actually on GB News. It was on GB News. Exactly. It was on GB News. I can't believe these guys. This is disgusting. Absolutely. Oh my God. I can't take any of this. I need my directions.
All of these social media companies and these online platforms, which are so powerful in their ability to impact perception about an issue and to influence behaviors, let's be clear about that. There have to be standards, and he and his account should be taken down. We saw in El Paso that shooter in his manifesto was informed by how Donald Trump uses that platform. And this is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability. He has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter.
And no accountability for having disinformation spread, right? Right. And as you know well, and I mean, when I got started in Democratic politics, you know, most of it was like local TV ads. That was what it was about. Obviously, national TV, local print. Those local TV is held to a higher standard of accountability than social media platforms in terms of having accurate information on their platforms. That is crazy. And so it is. How does it change? How are people held to account? Laws have to change.
Went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment.
I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world. We're going to take a look.
We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
You can check it out.
Could you please get me the mortality rate?
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we have one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. Do you have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate.
These states have similarly situated countries, as Dr. Burks points out. And this is
number one low mortality rate. I hope you show the scenario because it shows what fake news is all about. Okay,
I don't think I'm fake news, but we'll put our stats on.
You said we had the worst mortality rate in the world, and we have the best.
So it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently frequently liked President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
I mean, it's a joke. I mean, it's just a joke. Where are the patriots? Where are America's patriots? You're now talking about people who are completely incompetent who most American business owners wouldn't hire to run a taco stand, being put in charge of the FBI.
There's roughly 3 million people who work for the federal government. Of those, the president basically appoints 3,000, and it takes forever to get them through.
Yeah.
So we have roughly 3 million people who don't report to anyone. Nominally, they're supposed to report to the executive branch, but the president can't fire him. We talked about on the previous show, if Elon had gone into Twitter and he hadn't been allowed to fire anyone, do you think he could have restored free speech to Twitter? Of course not. They just would have kept doing whatever they wanted to do. And that is the big problem in the federal government right now, is we are ruled by a fourth branch of government that is not in the Constitution, that doesn't report to anybody. It is not subject to elections. We can't vote them out, and we can't fire them. And they have been in the forefront of trying to stop Trump and the larger reform movement that he represents. Ever since Trump got elected in 2016, remember, it was members of the administrative state, specifically the security state, who said, don't worry, we're going to be the insurance policy against Trump. And they have done everything possible through the Russiagate hoax, through lawfare, through the whole Steele dossier hoax, to basically try and stop Trump and the reform movement that he represents. And the big question of Trump's second term will be whether he can finally subdue this bureaucracy and bring it under Democratic control, under the control of the executive branch, as the American people want, and as I think the Constitution intended. Right now, we are run by an unelected branch of government that has to stop. And what Trump represents is not dictatorship, but democracy, the triumph of democracy over this bureaucracy.
Meanwhile, the people that are claiming that Donald Trump is the threat to democracy, the actual threat to democracy.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. If Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad. Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary, and Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and corporations. As Shadow Defense Secretary, Congressman Adam Smith, a great representative for the people of Washington and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator. And Senator Tammy Duckworth could argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have so rightly earned. If Trump hands over the EPA to big oil ally Lee Zeldin, we could see Congresswoman Kathy Castor pushing back for environmental protection and conservation to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as Shadow Secretary of Health and Human Services to defend women's right to choose and argue against the gutting of Medicare by Trump and his cronies. Mr. Speaker, new times require new solutions. The Shadow Cabinet isn't just about opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government. It's also about making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against.
I think we're at a point now in politics where there needs to be some accountability. The Democrats have falsely been labeling people for years now, trying to smear them. Here's a good example. We have Tulsi Gabbard getting ready to be part of Trump's cabinet. Debbie Wasserman Schultz claiming that Gabbard is a Russian asset. This is what they do, the people on the left. Everybody works for Russia, Russia, Russia. None of it has ever been proven, but there's no consequences for their lies. You got to understand that the label isn't meant for the people to get arrested. The label is meant for them to get it smeared right before an election. That's what they did to Matt Gaetz. They made these really bad claims about him just to smear him so they can get him out of office. When they investigated him, they found nothing. And even though they found nothing, now the Democrats are bringing it up again. He's already been investigated. But people forget that Debbie Wasserman Schultz had actually got busted for sleeping with a spy. There's an IT guy that hacked into a lot of our systems. This guy was able to get into the computers and emails and a lot of people within our Congress. And what this guy did was classical. He was messing around with a Wasserman Schultz, and he hacked and did all this stuff. But right before he escaped by getting on an airplane and going back to his country, he left the laptops that he used behind because it implicated Wasserman Schultz as being implicit in this. But magically, the Democrats stopped the investigation, and she's still in Congress today. So like I said, the left has a habit of accusing people on the right of what they're guilty of. So it's not Tulsi Gabbard we need to be worried about. It's people like Wasserman Schultz. Once Matt Gaetz gets into his position and he becomes Attorney General, all hell is going to break loose because he's going to expose all the criminality that's involved with the Attorney General. And he's going to go after some people that should have been convicted a long time ago. But let's talk about the things that the Democrats have done that has been proven true. Dianne Feinstein's limo driver was a Chinese spy. He drove her for 20 years. 20 years he was involved with Dianne Feinstein. So how is it that the Democrats can hire people and then we find out that they were working with spies? Look at this one here, exclusive. Suspected Chinese spy targeted California politicians. Not just one politician, California politicians, period. So we got this Chinese spy, Miss Feng Feng, who was sleeping with, oh look, it's Eric Swalwell. He was sleeping with a Chinese spy. Not only that, she got into fundraising and involved with a lot of other Democrats. How is it that the Chinese people always know to use the Democrats to do their spying with? Something tells me the only way they can really get away with it is if the Democrats are complicit in this. They have to be. And here's the thing, Eric Swalwell is still in office. How did he get a security clearance? Meanwhile, you have Biden, who was in office. He had all these Chinese spy balloons flying over our country, spying on us, and he was aware of it. For 2 weeks, these balloons flew around, spying on our military bases where we are, taking surveillance of us, and he did nothing about it. Nothing about it till all hell broke loose. Then he finally shot it down. More recently, look at this, Elise Stefanik. She's now one of Trump's nominees. She's calling for the investigation into Kathy Hochul. This is recent, you guys. September 3rd. The administration hiring communist Chinese spies. How are these Chinese spies getting vetted? How are they able to get to the position that they are? The only thing I can think of is that they are collaborating with the Chinese spy. Look, the Democrats definitely have been pushing Marxist communist agenda for quite some time now. Far left Democrat Kathy Hochul allowed communist Chinese spy Linda Sun unfettered access to the highest levels of New York state government. Either the Democrats are complicit and they're working with the Chinese Communist Party, or the Chinese Communist Party obviously has something on these people and they are compromised. What about when Clinton defends actions in alleged Chinese espionage? Now understand this, she allowed Chinese people to use her special access code to get into systems with a lot of our top secret information when she worked as Secretary of the State. Not everybody has access to these things. They're very limited. And China was able to find out where our spies were, and they killed them all on a Friday. So all the American spies that were Chinese we had in China spying on our behalf, all of them were killed in one day. And the only way they were able to find that out is because Hillary Clinton gave them special access codes. And it came out in the news. And what happened to her? Nothing happened to her. What about Obama and Hillary Clinton selling uranium? These are the things that are used to make the nuclear bomb to Russia. It's right here. Everybody forget the uranium window. Go Google it. So we had Hillary Clinton and Obama, who now claim that Russia's the bad guy. They're the spies. But you sold them freaking uranium. The very thing you put in nuclear bombs to kill people. The Democrats rely on their voters, their followers, to not actually do their own research, to just listen to the lying mainstream media, to get the narrative from them. But they keep telling us they want to do censoring of misinformation and disinformation. This is information that they decide is mis or disinformation. So they're trying to silence people that don't agree with their narrative and try to keep the truth from coming out. The beginning of this video, you've seen that this is already happening over in Australia, and it is happening over in Britain. That guy got 20 months for expressing his opinion in one single post. They labeled it a hate crime, misinformation, disinformation, and gave him 20 months in jail. And then right after that, you heard Kamala Harris encouraging the United States to start doing the same thing. Anyways, I'm curious to hear what you got to say. I look forward to it. I'm out.